Thanks to everybody who's been tagging me on Instagram. Here are their artworks. So if you want a chance to be featured in the next episode, make sure to tag me on Instagram. Hey guys, welcome to another visual effects tutorial. Now today I wanted to focus on compositing, and specifically compositing inside of Davinci. Now on this channel I like to focus on free programs, and Blender is a great program for CGI and everything 3D. However, it's not the best compositing program. Because of that, I wanted to look for more free compositing options, and I stumbled across Davinci Resolve. Now Davinci is free, links are down below in the description if you want to download, but today we're just going to focus on and do some basic compositing inside of Davinci so you guys can learn it along with. Okay, so we just launched Davinci. Here are all of our stuff. We can just hit Untitled Project and then hit New Project down here. Now I'm just going to name mine. Once we open up our project, we have this whole window right here. Now there are different tabs at the bottom. I usually just stick to Edit and Fusion, but there are a lot more stuff that you can do that I haven't really messed around with, so make sure to go look at tutorials if you're interested. But today we're going to do a very simple visual effects shot, so if you want to work along with us, the links are down in the description for you guys to download the files. Okay, so once you have downloaded those, we can come to Edit, and then we're just going to drop our media into the media pool right here. Okay, so just drop the movie clip into the media pool right here, and then we can right click this little window, open import media. Then we need to find this image sequence that I have linked below, then hit Control A to select everything and then open, and that should actually open up as a image sequence right here. Now it's just like any other editing program. We need to put our background below, and then we can do our image sequence on the thing above, and you can already see that they are looking pretty good. However, there is still a lot of stuff that we can do to actually composite. So to get started, I'm just gonna drag over these two and then right click, and you can create a new Fusion clip. Now Fusion is Davinci Resolve's version of node-based compositing. So if we come down to the bottom, we can see this Fusion tab. Let's just click on that, and then this window pops up. You'll recognize a lot of this stuff from Blender or any other node-based compositing. It's very similar, but basically we have a bunch of windows down here. We can actually close this effects library up here just so we have a bigger view, but right now we have a two split view. If you come down here, these little buttons below every single one, if you press one of them, they'll go to the corresponding side. So if I press the left one, it goes to the left panel, and if I press the right one, it goes to the right panel. That's really nice. The shortcuts to those, if you hover over them, are 1 and 2. So if you click, you do 1 and 2 on your keyboard, and that should change it to the corresponding window up here. Now since I set up a Fusion clip, we already have all this set up. We basically have our input. So if I go to 1, so this is our car image sequence, and then if I click this and go 2, this is our background, and they are being merged together like this to create this shot. This is basically just an alpha overnode if you want to think of it in terms of Blender. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and rename some of these. So I know that this one, since this is in the left, this is our car image sequence. So I'm just going to hit F2 on my keyboard and I can rename that. I'm just going to name this car. And then if I hit 1 on here, I can see this is our background. So I'm just going to, again, hit F2, and I'm just going to type in BG for background. Okay, so now if I take a look onto our right window over here, we will notice that we have the basic form of compositing we had in the Edit tab over here. So now let's actually do some more high-level compositing. So I noticed that the colors are kind of off on our car, so let's go ahead and change that. So to do that, I'm just going to right-click, go to Add Tool up here, and I'm going to go all the way down to Color, and then Color Corrector. That drops that here, and what you can do is hold Shift, and I'm just going to put that in between this little line right here, in between the car and the merge. Let's actually bring that out, and then hold Shift and put that right there, and you should see that it links it up very nicely. So just an easy way you can put nodes. Okay, so now to affect different nodes, we can click them, and then they have all these settings over here. Just to showcase, I'll mess around with some of this so you can see that it's changing around the car and everything. However, it's also affecting all of the alpha. So if I actually go back to the car, we will notice that we have alpha over here. However, we don't want the alpha to be affected at all. And so to actually get our alpha into our, to affect our color corrector, we will notice we have this blue little thing right down here, and that is the effect mask. That is basically the alpha channel, if you want to think of it like that. So what we need to do is bring the car image sequence and just plug that into the effect mask like that. Now you should see that we have a blue little line right here. And now it is only affecting the car and leaving the alpha alone. Okay, let's go back to the color corrector and then just reset all of the color changes. So now we actually need to play around with this a bit just to get a nice little result that matches our environment as much as we can. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I am just going to mess around and see what I like. So let's try to mess around with the gamma just a tad, maybe do the lift like that, and then contrast contrast needs to be down, and then lift, something like that. And you can always change it on and off by hitting this little thing up here just to see what changes you have made. Okay, I'm going to bump the saturation down a tad as well. Something like that. That is looking pretty good for my scene. I might want to change it around later, but this is what I'm going to stick with for now. Let's actually go ahead and add in some black bars to make it a little bit more cinematic, since that is what I like to do. So to actually add in media, you can either come back out here, do edit, and then combine it again, but I find that it's a little tedious. So we're going to go back to Fusion. Up here you can go to the media pool to bring this window up again, and then we're just going to right click, import media, find the black bars image I have linked in the description, then open that up. And so now we have the black bars over here, and all we can do is just drag and drop that in, and it automatically creates a new media. Okay, so again, I'm just going to rename this to black bars. Again, that's F2. And then to actually create a merge node, we need to merge these two together. So again, that's an alpha over inside Blender. We can either right click, go to add tool, and then find wherever the merge is. I believe it's in composite right here. But a faster way is to just bring this little black bars thing and plug it up to the output of our merge, and that will create a new merge right here. And so now you can see that is doing the result that we want. We want the black bars on top of our footage. Now if I scroll out a bit, you should see that the framing isn't really the best. Like, we have a lot of room down here, and I kind of want the car to be more down. So what we're going to do to fix that is going to add in a transform node. So let's go ahead and add a tool. We're going to come down to transform, and then transform right here. And then again, with that in, we can just hold shift and put that in between here. And I know I just want to move the car and then the background down, so that's why I put it here before this first or the second merge node. So with this selected, we can just zoom in here by holding Control and scroll wheel, and then we can just move this down until we get something we like. And we want to make sure the X center is the same and the Y center is the only thing being affected. So you can either manually type it in here. You just want to make sure that it remains on 0.5. Okay, cool. So now we actually have a cool looking scene, and it's framed up pretty nicely and everything. There's still one more thing that I like to do to add a little bit more realism, and one of the reasons that I like Davinci Resolve so much better than Blender is that it actually comes with some film grain nodes, whereas Blender does not. So let's go ahead and add one of those in. So I'm just going to move these guys up real quick. So to do that, we're going to right click, go to add tool, we're going to go to film and then grain right here, and then we can shift, put that right in between there, and now we have a nice clean little setup. So you should notice at the top we have our grain now, and I actually want to make this one window again, so I'm going to hit this little button right here, and now it's full window, so we can see this a little bit easier now. So let's come down here. I think I want to find some black. Since this is black, I want to find some black in the background or something that gives us some of the grain as a reference. So if I actually zoom in here, I'm at frame about 24, let's say. It says it right down here. But if I come into this car, you can see that we have some grain. However, if I go ahead and disable this grain on the side, you'll notice that ours is super shiny. And so that is just what we're trying to mimic, just trying to blend that in a little bit better. So let's turn that back on. And notice that the grain size is a little too big on here, so I'm just going to decrease that a bit, like so. You can also change the softness. I notice it's a little bit softer. I need to change the size down a little bit more. And then finally, the power is a little too much, so I'm going to make it something like that, I believe. Yeah, somewhere around there is looking good. You could just eyeball it or whatever. There are a lot more settings you can mess around with, like the green difference, all that stuff. And then the spread, you can affect these as well. But I'm just going to leave these the same. These look pretty good for my scene. Okay, so this is pretty much it. This is the final setup that we have, and it is looking pretty nice, and gave us a better result than Blender ever could. So this is what we're going to stick with. Let's go ahead and export this. So come out to deliver, and you can see that we have this clip selected at the bottom. All the delivery things are over here. If you want to go ahead and just upload it to YouTube or something, you can just do that. However, I'm just going to do it right over here. So I'm going to go browse. I'm going to pick my file location. Okay, so once you have picked your file location, you can do render as a single clip. Then video, QuickTime is my format. I like to stick to H.264, but you can change that to one of these or anything like that. You can also change these as well. I'm just going to stick with a basic internet format. then my resolution is this, and my frame rate is 24. If you want a smaller file size, you can maybe change around these if you're just doing some tests and stuff, or some advanced settings as well. I'm not going to really go over that, but then we're going to add to render queue, and you'll notice that it comes up over here. You can just exit out of this other one. So once you have that, you can come down here and render all, and that'll start rendering out the final animation. Okay guys, so this is the final result. Again, if you follow along with this tutorial, I'd love to see them, so make sure to tag me on Instagram at jzirkle_film, and then I will see it and post it on our next video. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.